A netizen shared a video clip regarding the current state of the COVID-19 pandemic in India.
It's really absolutely unprecedented crisis, and the system is collapsing. The health infrastructure is collapsed. So it's devastating, heart-wrenching pictures, stories, and from everywhere. Everybody has family members, friends, neighbors who are unwell. People are dying on the streets. So it is a scarcity which one cannot imagine.
My father is in a very critical condition. I'm getting no help. Numbers are given there, but nobody is responding. Numbers are not reachable. Please help me, please. My father is dying. I can't afford another loss. Yesterday I lost my younger brother.
No, my grandmother. If we don't give oxygen, she will die in hospital. Hospital say no oxygen.
And this is happening in the heart of the country. This is the national capital. I'm talking about Delhi. The situation is as bad across the country. So it's absolutely devastating. It's even sadder that even in death there's waiting. The crematorium grounds are full, and people have to wait for hours just to cremate their loved ones. So
ये जो ब्लॉक है, कोविड ब्लॉक है, वो तकरीबन सारा भर चुका है। लेकिन ये है कि बस जो थोड़ी बहुत जगहें बची हुई हैं, तो उन्हीं जगहों में हम जो उन जगहों को इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। और क्या आप देख सकते हो, कवर से कवर मिला के खोदी जा रही है अब तो। इस जगह को ज़रा सा भी हम वेस्ट नहीं जाने दे रहे हैं।
ये वो आंकड़े को कोविड मानते हैं जो हॉस्पिटल वाले लिख के देवे कि हाँ कोविड से मरा है और पोस्टमार्टम हुआ है। मैं जब 50 डेड बॉडी घर से उठा के ला रहा हूँ, वो कोविड की है।
The death figures in India are at least 10 times higher than what is being revealed to us right now. So the average number of deaths in India is 2,000. Officials tell us that the deaths could be anywhere between 20,000. I was at a crematorium 2 days ago. In a small crematorium, they burned 200 bodies in one day.
A netizen shared a picture from the Myanmar protests. One of the protesters held a sign with the words, "The world is sick because of CCP," while other people in the crowd were wearing Winnie the Pooh masks. A netizen shared a video clip featuring a Chinese man who shared his thoughts regarding the people that chose to stay silent, even though they knew that what they were told were lies. Here's what he said. Some people dare to tell lies in public because they knew that nobody would dare to expose their lies. They also, to a large extent, felt confident that nobody would have any means whatsoever to expose their lies. And as a result, nowadays there are few people that actually dare to tell the truth in public. Because there appears to also be a consensus among people that if they do tell the truth, there would be few that would have the courage to actually support them. And in the meantime, it is also certain that these people who do want to support those truth tellers also are aware that even if they do show their support, their effort and courage would also end up in vain. At a time when all the liars have started to collude with each other and make public statements regarding following the norms and the rules, while in the meantime suppress all those that dare to speak the truth, using the harshest means possible without feeling a sense of remorse. While in the meantime, the few that actually dare to speak the truth stand divided. Seeing the stark contrast between these two scenarios, perhaps those that once dared to speak the truth will gradually lose their courage and turn silent. And then, as a result, the liars will act in an even more arrogant way. In the end, silence from the good people directly resulted in the bad guys committing wrong deeds in an even more arrogant manner, without feeling any concern or remorse. So, to conclude, the silent majority encourage those that tell lies to continue doing so. In light of the recent news that Chinese billionaire Mr. Dawu is facing decades in jail, a Chinese netizen that currently resides in Beijing shared her memories of Mr. Sun. She said she attended Dawu Middle School from 2003 to 2007. She said, quote, "I clearly remember that Every single Monday, regardless of how busy Mr. Sun was, he would always come to our school and give a talk. Even though by then he was already a public figure, he told us that we should always be kind to others as well as be kind to our own lives. Back then, I was too young to really understand what that actually meant. It was only until I actually grew up and started to realize that Mr. Sun just wanted us to be kind and compassionate individuals. I also remember that back then 2 orphans were in our class. Mr. Sun paid for their tuition and also provided them with living expenses. It's been quite some time, and to be exact, many years since I was in elementary school. Even though we've all grown up, my fellow classmates all share a special sentiment toward Mr. Sun, primarily because what we learned in school back then was not just knowledge that can be found in textbooks, but also, and most importantly, the lessons of how to be a good person. Our group chat was not very active, but after news about what has happened to Mr. Sun came out, every one of us expressed how worried we felt for our dear former principal. We don't know if there are things that we can actually do to help him, but we all started to share articles that were written to show support for him. We want to say to Mr. Sun that your former students would always stand behind you. Stay strong. A netizen shared a quote from Mr. Chen Danqing, who is a well-known Chinese artist who gained fame primarily in the 1980s with his paintings portraying the Tibetans. He allegedly said, quote, "If you do not come from a socially or economically privileged background in China, and yet you still chose to be a kind person, it is no doubt that you would fall to the bottom tier of society. Even if you are extremely talented, even if you have outstanding original insights, you would still be sifted out by societal rules. In fact, it is even easier for those that follow the rules, that do have a backbone, and those that are innately kind to be sifted out. All of your strengths would in turn become your shortcomings in the societal competitions that are going on today. When values have been distorted, money will in turn be the yardstick. That is the reality in mainland China today." A netizen shared a quote from John Locke, one of the most influential philosophers from the Enlightenment era. He once said, "Freedom of man under government is to have a standing rule to live by, common to every one of that society and made by the legislative power vested in it, a liberty to follow my own will in all things when the rule prescribes not, and not to be subject to the inconstant, unknown, arbitrary will of another man." End of quote.
Child, we will take you in. Child, we will bring you home. You'll be a flower that sees the spring. Soon a dove flying high.